Does it ever feel like this for you? Life is so interesting. Sometimes it just goes so smoothly, it's easy to do what we need to do, house keeps clean, people are getting along really well, we're feeling good. The other times it's just not that way. Things are just hard, the house isn't keeping clean, people are fighting, the work's hard to do. Yeah. And I was thinking about that this week when it comes to keeping my house clean. And I went out and did a Google search for how do you clean your house when you're tired? And it led me to a really interesting thread on Reddit, which was quite long, where people were giving each other advice about this very thing. And there were a lot of people on that thread talking about Casey Davis's book, which it turns out I already own, How to Keep House While Drowning. I bought this book back when I had long COVID and I was trying to keep up with things and was failing most of the time. And I talked about this and what I learned to do with the DOTS method of managing my energy in the last video, so I'll link to that. But I bought this book because my family is really good about helping me in many ways, but cleaning the house, not so much. And I was sick for a very long time, and so the house just was really getting worse and worse. And I came across her book and I thought, oh, that may really help me. So I read some of it, but wasn't really able to read it as well as I wanted to. So when I saw them talking about it on Reddit, I got it out, went through it, and there's so many good things in here. I thought I need to tell my friends on YouTube about this. So we're going to talk about her book today and some of the highlights. Of course, I can't talk about it all, so I highly recommend this book. I'll link to it with one of my Amazon links in the description, so you can hop over there and get it. A little bit about Casey. She's a therapist, and at the time she wrote this book, we had just come through 2020 with all of that kind of madness, and she had a toddler, and she had just had a baby, and she had had some postnatal depression, so she was dealing with that, and then she got diagnosed with ADHD, which kind of explained why things were really hard for her. She just really did feel like she was drowning, and she really had noticed that so many of her clients, she said hundreds of her clients, were talking about this very thing, and she was teaching them some skills and ways of thinking that were helpful. So she thought, I just really got to write a book about this. At the time she was dealing with the postnatal depression and dealing with having a newborn and a toddler, she said, I was tired, I was depressed, I was overwhelmed, I was in need of help, but I was not lazy, and neither are you. And so she goes on to say that she is convinced more than ever that laziness does not exist. She doesn't think it's a real thing. But she said these are the things that exist: executive dysfunction, procrastination, feeling overwhelmed, perfectionism, trauma, amotivation, chronic pain, energy fatigue, depression, lack of skills, lack of support, and differing priorities. Then she says ADHD, autism, depression, traumatic brain injury, and bipolar and anxiety disorders are just some of the conditions that affect executive functions, making planning, time management, working memory, and organization more difficult, and tasks with multiple steps intimidating or boring. And then she points out so many of the things we do around the home actually require a lot of steps, like even cooking a meal. You've had to go to the store and shop and plan what you want to buy. You have to put it away. You have to have probably cleaned your kitchen and dishes enough that you have clean pots to cook with. You have to decide what you're going to cook, and then there are all the steps to it and getting yourself motivated. There's a lot of things that go into making a meal. We tend to downplay all of that and call ourselves lazy or stupid, or just really get mean with ourselves because we're not keeping up with that the way we think we should. She explained this. When I viewed getting my life together as a way for trying to atone for the sin of falling apart, I stayed stuck in a shame-fueled cycle of performance, perfectionism, and failure. She invites us to remember these words: slow, quiet, gentle. You are already worthy of love and belonging. This is not a journey of worthlessness. This is a journey of care. So then she moves on to relabeling what we're doing. Instead of calling these things that we do around the home or maybe in life in general chores, which so many of us associate with negative connotations because we were made to do chores as children. So chores can seem difficult or get in the way of us doing fun things. We call them care tasks because when we are making our bed or doing our dishes or cleaning the bathroom or going to work and earning money for our family, we are doing things to care for ourselves and for our family. And thinking about them just makes more of a positive spin on it. Instead of like trying to talk yourself into doing a chore, which will be, I've got to go right now. A chore that I need to do is to use my little spot cleaners, clean up all the spots of drips of food that are going up my stairs that really are making them look bad. And I've been kind of trying to beat myself into doing that because it is a lot of work. But instead, if I reframe that and I think this would be such a kindness to me if I did this, because then every time I go up the stairs, I'm not having to look at it or think about it. My stairs just exist. Or instead of thinking, oh, I have to go clean the kitchen. I have to go wipe off those counters. I have to do the dishes. Instead of thinking, I'm doing future me a big favor if I do the dishes right now, because if I don't, tomorrow it's going to be even worse. It's going to take me so long. And the counters are going to get crummier and stickier, and it's just going to be miserable. But if I do it right now, honestly, it's just going to take me a few minutes. So I'm doing myself a big favor if I do it right now. She talks about that sometimes we have these feelings of guilt and failure because of our environment, what we've grown up with, what we're seeing now. For instance, my grandmother, my mother's mother, really loved to clean. It was her hobby. Then she had a very small home. And my aunt, who never married, lived with her, so my aunt could help her. So even at the end of her life, when she got Lou Gehrig's and really couldn't do much, she was still trying to do it at the very end of her life. It was incredible. But she had someone to help her. And it really was not hard to keep that home clean. My mother's home was always clean, and I was really pleased with it, and I loved growing up in a clean home. But it was just this morning that I realized, oh, wait a minute. One of the reasons my mother's home was clean because she had me doing so many things. From the time I was around 7, I was doing the dusting, the vacuuming, cleaning the bathroom, and was doing all the dishes after dinner. And she insisted we do them as soon as we finished dinner. I was helping her a lot. Then, of course, when she got older, the kids weren't around. It was just her and Dad. It was easier for her to keep up with it because they weren't making very many messes or doing very many dishes, and my dad was helping her load the dishwasher until the very end of his life. My circumstances just different than hers. So why should I be beating myself up that I can't meet some fictional standard, which I actually know from my mother living with me for 12 years, that she was not really critical of me. She knew I was doing the best, but I still am carrying this comparison of my grandmother and my mother and what they did in my mind. That's just not fair. And then you look at what is happening on YouTube or social media, and people tend to present their best. I'm not into doing that so much. I'm into just saying this is what my life is. My room is picked up right now because I like my room picked up because I can't think if my room's not picked up. But believe me, if I took this camera down there and I showed you my floor down there needs to be mopped, I could show you some things that need to be cleaned. And I wouldn't mind doing it, because this is the way it is. But if we see things that always look perfect and clean, or we find these programs that really seem to be working, or people swearing, this worked for me, if you do this, this is going to work for you too. And if you try and it doesn't work for you, then something is wrong with you. Then I just make us feel bad. And she has a chapter she calls for all the self-help rejects. Marie Kondo says to trifold your underwear. The Admiral swears making your bed will change your life. Rachel Hollis thinks the key to success is washing your face and believing in yourself. Capsule wardrobes, rainbow-colored organization, bullet journals. How many of these have we tried, and how many did we stick with? She then says, if you're like me, the answer is probably none. And I have to say that too. The answer is probably none. I haven't tried all of those, but I've tried some of those. And why is it that we rarely stick with them. She has a few reasons. Number one, any task or habit requiring extreme force of will depletes your ability to exert that type of energy over time. The truth is that human beings can only exert high effort for short periods of time. Number two, many self-help gurus over-attribute their success to their own hard work without any regard to the physical, mental, or economic privileges they hold. You can see this when a 20-year-old fitness influencer says, "We all have the same 24 hours." The fitness influencer says that she only needed to add all these things to her life to see dramatic changes in her health, so assumes that anyone that doesn't do these things is just missing out. But, everyone's different. Everyone's different. I taught you a method last week of maintaining your energy. And I tell you what I loved about that. Of course, it was just what I needed at the right time. And it really has changed my mind because it's changed my thinking. And it hasn't required any extreme effort. In fact, what it has taught me to do is to stop trying to control myself in that way, to honor how I'm actually feeling. I needed my mind and my brain and myself retrained to honor what's going on in my body and to quit trying to force myself into things that other people can be successful with. That's why I loved it. That's why I'm so grateful to John to teaching that to me, because it taught me to listen to myself. But who knows? It might not work for you. It might not be useful for you. You may not need it. I put it out there for those people who need it. And this leads to Casey's third point, which I just kind of went on about. Different people struggle differently, and privilege isn't the only difference. Someone might find a way to meal plan, to exercise, or organize their pantry that revolutionizes their life. But solutions that work for them are highly dependent on not only their unique barriers, but also their strengths, personality, and interests. Often, my dear commenters, who I just appreciate so much and who are so concerned with me, often recommend solutions to me that have worked for them, and I appreciate it, and I will seriously look at any solution anyone offers me. But if I try it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for me. Or maybe I'll look into it and go, yeah, that won't work for me but I still appreciate it. And any solution or things I give you, I'm offering to you. But I'm not promising this will work. Like this book might be exactly what you needed to hear right now. It might have no meaning to you at all. And that's the point, right? We're all different. And we need to recognize that we're different and quit comparing ourselves to other people. She says, I suspect that many people doling out productivity advice focus on areas where they're naturally gifted. Areas where all they needed was a little push and a couple of tips to get themselves unstuck. And isn't that why we watch videos that teach us stuff like this, that give us a new way of thinking, or that will strike a chord and we'll go, I really relate to that. I'm so glad I heard that. That is helping me. I come across stuff like that all the time, and I'm so grateful for that. Oh, that reminds me, if you're relating to any of this, maybe you'll want to think about subscribing, because this is the kind of stuff I talk about here. Anyway, she goes on to, what do we do now that we have recognized it, and maybe we've gone in some room in our home, or we're in a situation where we're not feeling good and things aren't going as well as we want. What do we do to deal in that situation? Well, she has a 5-step method, tidying method, which is very easy, and it actually reminds me a lot of something that Dana K. White has said, which I'm going to talk about in another video. But she said there are actually only 5 things in any room: trash, dishes, laundry, things that have a place but are not in that place, and things that don't have a place yet. She said the number one thing you need to do is get a trash bag and go around and gather up all the trash. But don't take the trash out yet. So you're going to put the trash bag in some place. And then you're going to gather up all the dishes and put them in the sink or on the counter, but you're not going to do the dishes yet. Then you're going to take a laundry basket and put any of the laundry you find in the basket, put it over, maybe by the trash bags, but you're not going to do the laundry yet. Then you're going to go through the room and you're going to find all the things that have a place but are not in that place, and you're going to put them in a pile, like in a corner on a desk. In this room, I put them on top of my desk there, because if they're not in the place, that means they need to go somewhere else. So I gather them there, and then put all the things that don't have a place yet in another pile. Then after you get that done, those steps. You're going to take out the trash. And then you're going to do the dishes. And then you have the things done that could make it unhealthy to be there or are likely to attract bugs. If you have any more energy left, then you can start working on putting away the things that have a place that are not there. If you don't have enough energy at that time, then wait. Maybe you work on it later in the day or tomorrow or the next day. And then after that, you can work on finding a place for those things that don't have a place yet. If you're thinking about that all the time, then it helps you kind of keep up with things. Because I'll tell you what, my experience is the number one way to fake a clean house is to keep the surfaces clean, picked up. That doesn't mean your house is clean, but that means that there are not things on the surfaces. So if you're thinking about this method, you're getting the trash away, you're getting the dishes put somewhere, you're making sure the laundry's not there, then things have a place, they go here. So, for instance, what I do is because I tend the 6-year-old granddaughter, so, she makes a mess. I have a place, the top of the stairs, on a chair, that when I find her things that go downstairs, I put them on that chair so when her mother comes along, her mother knows they need to go downstairs. What her mother does with them, my daughter, it's up to her. But they're out of my way, and as soon as I put them on the chair, they're no longer my responsibility. If she has gotten trash around, I will just pick that trash up. So that's the thing. And I don't worry about laundry being anywhere because I have, at this point, thoroughly trained my family to take care of their laundry. If I find the kids' laundry, it goes on the chair, my daughter has to take care of it. But my husband and I and my son manage our laundry well, so I don't have that problem. But when I was raising kids, that was a problem. Those steps are really good. It's really important to note, and Casey points this out, and I love this thought, the organization is not the same as tidying. So organization means that you have assigned a place for things to go. Tidying means that you are putting those things in the place they have to go. Whether things are messy or tidy is totally dependent on how long it has taken you to put them where they belong. Then organization has nothing to do with being aesthetically pleasing. Just think for yourself. If you think that you have to have things aesthetically pleasing, everything in little containers and all lined up and color coded and everything, or it's not organized, if you released that, how would it change your mind about organizing? If you know this thing goes in that drawer and I put it in there and I'm not going to worry about what it looks like in that drawer. But if I'm worrying about that drawer, like my sock drawer, I have a basket for where I put my white socks and one where I put my colored socks because I got tired of digging through all the socks to find the white socks. But I don't worry about them being all lined up or all folded up nicely like Marie Kondo says, though I did try that once. I just know white socks go in this basket and I just throw them in there. My nightgowns are in that drawer. I'm not folding them. I'm just like gathering up and I'm sticking them in the drawer. But my room looks nice and tidy because they're in the right place. And it's the same thing down in the kitchen. I have a junk drawer and it is an amazing junk drawer. And I have made a video about cleaning that junk drawer, and our junk drawer does not stay organized, but we all know that certain things are going in that drawer and I'm not worrying about it. And every once in a while I'll go through there and I'll throw away the trash that's migrated in there or the clutter that needs to go out of there. But I am not personally worrying about how that junk drawer looks. My pantry is another place. I see these beautiful pictures of organized pantries, and I have some videos about organizing my pantry, but if you look at them closely, those videos are not going to appeal to a lot of people because it's not fantastic. What I have done is I have an area of a shelf where all the grains and the pastas go. I have another place where all the breakfast stuff is going to go, and I have a basket where you put all those bags of stuff. I just throw them in there. I've tried decanting those bags. It was a disaster. I gave up with that, so I just have a big basket. Same thing for chips. I have a shelf where all the snacks and stuff are going to go. I have some baskets there just so the things won't fall off the shelf, but I'm not worrying about these things have to be in this basket and these things have to be in this basket. That was too much for me. So it's organized enough that my family has a better chance of putting things where they belong. But if they don't, it only takes me a minute, less than a minute to go, check this, goes here. So that is my version of organized. And to me, I think Casey's idea is so good. If you're having trouble with being organized, try it. You don't have to be all fancy about it. Just have a spot to put things. Your life's gonna be so much easier, and you're not gonna beat yourself up about it. So, the rainbow organized thing is so beautiful, but I look at that and I've seen them where it's rainbow organized, and it looks to me like they've gone out and have bought juices, juice bags, the juices that are in the bags, that there is every color of juice, and they only have those things so you can see the rainbow. They've only bought snacks that fit into the rainbow. They only buy cereals that fit into the rainbow. I'm like, that's not my life. Not one bit. Pretty to look at, but I could not live that way. I could not live that way. Okay. So she points out that being messy is not a moral failing. You are not a good or bad person, depending on the state of where you are with your chores. Having a sink full of dishes does not make you a bad person. It's not related to a moral activity. I would say treating people well is a morally good behavior. And being mean to people, I don't think is a morally good thing. I'm a follower of Christ. I mentioned that before. He teaches us that the number one things we need to do is love God. Next thing is to love each other and treat each other well. And I totally believe that. So to me, that is a moral thing. Treat other people well. But vacuuming my carpet does not make me good. Not vacuuming my carpet does not make me bad. And yet we go through life sometimes assigning that morality, good and bad, to things that really are not good or bad. And you can see how that messes you up if you're doing that. Then she talks about routine over schedule. What'd she say? Routine over rhythm. So for so long, I tried to get myself into a routine. And I actually had a video where I have a sample routine that you can follow if you're into those things. But I realized from reading her book that no, I'm really in a rhythm. The problems with routine, it's so easy to get behind. You can't keep up with them. So let's say I say on Mondays, I am going to do my laundry for sure. On Tuesdays, I'm going to vacuum and I'm going to dust. On Wednesdays, I'm going to mop. On Thursdays, I'm going to do this. On Fridays, I'm always going to do this. Well, as soon as I have a day when I don't feel good, I am off of my routine, and it's hard to get back on it. Instead, build a rhythm, which I have realized that's what I do. I have kind of a rhythm to things. So the first part of the week, Monday or Tuesday, I do our laundry because that's when I work on the computer, on editing and posting videos. Since the laundry room's right there, it's really easy for me just to go back and forth. And I can hear when the buzzers go off, and that's when I do my laundry. And I keep up with the laundry because my husband needs his laundry cleaned, and I occasionally need my underwear cleaned. So I do that. And then toward the end of the week, when I've got all of that done and I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens, like on Friday I'll be waiting to see, are you watching this video? That's when I tend to kind of do some of my care tasks. Like I'll do the vacuuming, I'll clean the bathrooms, I'll do that kind of things. If I'm sick and I can't do all of that, I do the minimum to make sure that we're healthy and stuff. And then in the mornings, even when I'm not feeling so good, unless I'm really, really sick, I get up, I make my bed, I get myself dressed. I have to put makeup on because I like to see myself looking a little better in the mirror. It's for me. It's not for you. It's just you would rather see me with my makeup than not, but I'm doing it for me. I go downstairs, and my husband has always made sure the dishes to a certain point. I finish the dishes. I always wipe off the counters because I can't stand crummy, sticky counters. And I get myself that far every day. So I'm pretty much guaranteed I'm going to do those things. And that's kind of my rhythm. And all these other things like cleaning the mess up the carpet, I'll fit them in on days when I'm feeling good, whenever that happens to be. And I have some extra time. So that's kind of my rhythm. And it works really well for me with a chronic illness and my need to do different things. Like today's Friday. It's the day that my video came out. I've been doing some research and thinking about this video. So I'm not doing anything else on YouTube, so I'm filming this video today and then I'll edit another day. So I'm kind of in those rhythms, and I love the fact that Casey points that out. She says with routines, you're either on track or not. With rhythm, you can skip a beat and still get back in the groove. Amen. Amen. So you may be in a season of your life where these things are easy. It's easy for you to keep up with you. Oh, enjoy it. It's wonderful. You may be in a season where things are not as easy for you to keep up, where it's this up and down thing, and you'll relate to my experience more. Well, just do the best you can. That's what I think. Give up perfection. Do your energy allowance. Stop when it doesn't. Those dots really did save me. Pick your battles. Stop worrying about what your phantom future guest may think of you when you come in the home. You know what I've noticed about the floors? Whether I mop them or not, nobody but me seems to notice if they are mopped or not. Therefore, I don't worry about mopping them so much. You know when I mop them? Is when they are bothering me or I find myself sticking to the floor. There are going to be people who hate that because they mop their floor every day. I just can't. I have never had anybody come in my house because I keep the surfaces decluttered. They'll go, that you can see them think, oh, your house is dirty, because you can look down and you can see the dirty floor. They'll say, oh, your house is so clean. And I'll go, yeah, it's really not, but thanks anyway. Anybody that came in my house that you could see them looking and going, oh, dust, oh, that's on them. That's not on me. And learn to fake a clean house. I've given you some ideas of how I do it. Here is a video I talked about maintaining your energy with the dot method. And here is a video that YouTube really thinks you're going to like because it knows you better and what you like. So I'll see you next time. Bye.